Namaste. So this video is entitled The Greatest Weapon Ever Forged to Fight the Darkness. Okay, well, first of all, we need to define what is darkness. What is the darkness? Many will say it's evil. Evil is darkness. The devil is darkness. Demons are darkness. And so on and so forth. Using different terminology depending on which religious background and which country you're raised in, right? What if I were to tell you that evil doesn't exist? Good and evil are figments of the human imagination. Now bear with me on this one. I didn't say that darkness and light doesn't exist, and I didn't say that positive and negative polarities do not exist. In fact, on this planet, the positive and negative polarities are the most divergent. From what I've been shown. Okay, so darkness is the lack of light. Darkness is ultimately the lack of truth, because light is the ultimate truth. If you have watched previous videos, especially the spirit and soul, what is a spirit and a soul? What is the difference between a spirit and a soul? And on one of those videos, I draw the diagram of the soul individualizations and how what you would call the Godhead broke off into many, many, many different universal God selves. And then they broke off into many, many different individualized God selves. And then they individualized into many, many, and then it went down and down and down from the 12th density all the way down to the 3rd density, and even down to the 1st. But this is where the 3rd density is. So we may as well just come down to here. I mean, it goes down to 2nd density and 1st density. 1st density being the elements, and 2nd density being plants and animals. But we're in the 3rd density. So you will know that by just following that diagram all the way up the densities of consciousness, eventually you get back to the one Godhead, which is that of pure love. Before it's even been individualized into light, this is when the love is invisible to anything that is physical or anything that is physically focused in this universe. It's not on the visible light spectrum. That from the 9th density and above, you cannot even visibly see this on the light spectrum within our visible range. So the one is pure light, is pure love. Okay, pure love. The first differentiation was light, love, and then love light. Okay, so you could look at the highest aspects of God, the Godhead, the source, the most pure, most undistorted truth to the God source is that of love and light. The opposite of love and light is fear / hatred and darkness. But that is the illusion. So if you look at the yin-yang symbol, there is an aspect of the light in the dark portion, and there is an aspect of the dark in the light portion. And it revolves around and around in circles, and that represents the reincarnational cycles. And it also represents the dualistic, polarised nature of this universe, which is a hologram. It's a fractal-based holographic matrix. In order for the one, undifferentiated, unified God source, the prime creator, to experience itself in a dichotomy driven, polarized, dualistic illusion, because it had to pretend to be something that it wasn't in order for it to experience itself as its true self and other than its true self, to explore itself further. The divine mind wanted to just explore itself further and further and further. And this is why we have all these different universes, right? This whole bunch of universes, countless. And this is an ongoing, there is no end to this. The God source, the divine source, the one, whatever you want to call it, the great, great central sun, the Godhead. It ultimately, this is the paradox. There is never an end to this, because the more the one explores its own mind, the more the one mind wants to explore itself. So it's a perpetual, dichotomy. Is there ever going to be a time when the one just decides to be the one again and nothing else? I don't know. I can't really answer that for sure. But from what has been indicated to me very strongly, no. The answer is no. This is a never-ending exploration of self. So when firefighters go out to battle a raging inferno inside an office block or someone's house, they don't go there to the fire and they think, right, well, guess what? We've got the chemical industry. We've got all these, that fire thinks it's powerful, right? Yeah, well, guess what? We've got fire that is way more powerful with our technology, and our chemicals. And if we blast that fire with enough of our fire, with even more of our fire, then that will make that fire insignificant. We'll blow it up with fire. We'll destroy fire with fire. It doesn't work like that, does it? You can't fight fire with fire. If you add fire to fire, you just get a bigger fire, right? That's false logic. So what would be the biggest weapon we have against hatred, against darkness, which is part of the illusion, don't forget. That is the illusion. We have this thing in the West where it's even happening now in many countries, in America still, many states in America, they have the death penalty, the death sentence for people who kill. That's fighting fire with fire, in my opinion. Because by taking, so you say, if someone kills, then we will kill him or her. If that human kills another human, we will get our humans who are on the side of the good, right, to kill them. Can you see the false logic behind this way of thinking? If you have hatred for another aspect of humanity in any way, shape or form, then you are hating a part of the one. You are hating a part of yourself, ultimately. So there's there's this war with Ukraine going on right now, and Russia. If you have hatred for Russia, if you have hatred for Vladimir Putin, and you say, I hate those people, I hate that country for what they're doing to those innocent people, you're adding flames to that fire of hatred. You're adding hate to hate. The only thing that can beat hatred and darkness is light and love. And I know this sounds all fluffy and all new age, kind of hippie, and like, yeah, what good is sending them love gonna do? It's not even really about that, although it kind of is. It's more about, you've heard that saying, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. If you want to change the world, start from within yourself. Because if all of us do this tomorrow, just imagine how this world would change. But of course that isn't going to happen. Very unlikely. Okay, so it's more a case of this is in stages, but the more of us who realize that we are all one, we're one human family, and we're ultimately one divine mind. This universe is a fractal in the mind of God, the mind of the source. We are all fractals in the mind of God. To have this ultimate realization to its totality is to realize that that other person who you are having strong dislike or even hatred towards is a shadow part of yourself. In other words, if you have any hatred for any other human, for I don't care what the reason is, you're ultimately having hatred for yourself, for a part of yourself. And ultimately, for that to even be triggered within you to hate somebody else, you have to take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Because what triggered that within you, what insecurities or what inner conflicts have you got which have just triggered that feeling of hatred or strong dislike towards, or resentment towards? You see, all of these are the negative traits. If you fall for this, then you are just adding the fire to the flames of the darkness. Instead, the ultimate weapon forged to fight the darkness, to fight what people call evil, is love and light. And you need to do lots of inner work on yourself to be able to get to the point where you can honestly, hand on heart, say, I truly love and accept everything and everyone in this world just as it is. Though at the same time, I desire for better for the people of this world. I desire for this to be a more light-filled, love-filled place, a more benevolent place. You cannot, so that basically the most powerful weapon ever forged to fight darkness and the negativity is already your truth. It is your inner light and your inner love, the only truth that really exists. The only thing that is really real, the only real part about you, anything other than that is illusion. Maya. Division, fear, control is of the negative. Resentment, hatred is of the negative. It's of the dark. The light only sees light and only projects light and love. That's not to say that you agree with anything that's happening on the side of the dark. The absolute opposite. You disagree strongly, but there's a big difference between disagreeing strongly and hating, resenting, and talking negatively of, which just spreads more negativity, more fear, more darkness. Fight the darkness with light. Fight the hatred with the love. Namaste.